Hey, Chick-fil-A South Roads team, thank you for joining me on another leadership series. Today we're going to talk about coaching and providing feedback. There's a very famous business leader. His name is Jack Welch. He was the CEO of General Electric for several years. During his tenure at General Electric, he saw the value of the company rise over 4,000%. So a lot of great leadership principles that Jack Welch had during his tenure as CEO of General Electric. But one of the things he's known for saying is that before you are a leader, success is about growing yourself. But once you become a leader, success is actually all about growing others. And that is so true. As a leader at Chick-fil-A, one of the best and biggest tasks that you can have is growing and developing others around you. Now, part of that process means that there are times where you have to provide feedback to other people. And sometimes it's hard feedback to share, but feedback that's necessary for that person's development and growth. And so we want to provide you 5 principles today that we believe if you can master these 5 principles of providing feedback, not only will you become better at providing feedback, but people will begin to seek you out for feedback because they know that you are a truth teller and they know that you truly care about developing and growing them. So the first principle I want to talk about is just really the idea of creating safety. We want to make sure that team members feel safe when we provide the feedback so they can hear that feedback and actually apply it. If they do not feel safe, then a lot of times they're not even going to hear the things that you're telling them because you haven't created a safe environment. So there's 3 ways that we believe that you can create safety with your team members. Number 1 is just to lead with humility. Lead with the spirit of humility. This means that you have an attitude that you share with them that I am here to help you grow and to develop. It's also sharing an attitude that I know that I'm not perfect myself, that there's things that I can always improve on. Sometimes it means that you have to lead by example and ask others for feedback just so they can see the spirit of humility that you have, that you are trying to grow and develop and that you're willing to receive feedback. A second aspect of creating safety is also to ask for permission. I truly believe that anytime we're going to share feedback, a great tactic is always to ask for permission so that that we can prepare people for that feedback. If you ask somebody, hey, there's some things that I noticed today. Would it be okay for me to share some feedback with you of things that I think that might help you improve or to grow? Most people, when you ask them for permission to share feedback, are not going to say no. And when they say yes, they are automatically preparing their hearts and giving you permission to share with them the feedback that you want to share. So I always say asking for permission is great. And then the third tactic under creating safety is to always share feedback in private. I always believe that praise should be done in public around other people, but when you share feedback, specifically personal feedback, always try to do that in private. Maybe you need to do that with somebody else, but try to not do that in front of other people, because when you do it in front of other people and share feedback, then oftentimes people can feel targeted, they can feel criticized, and that can also be a barrier from them hearing the feedback that you want to share with them. The second principle, I believe, for mastery is to be positive. We want to make sure that we lead with a sense of positivity because feedback is something that is positive. It is an opportunity for us to help others grow and develop. It shouldn't be considered a negative thing. One way to do this I call is the sandwich model, and this is a great way of sharing feedback. Number 1 is that you want to start off is to lead with some positive things. You want to let them know, hey, here's the things that I'm seeing that you are doing that are great, that are really good things, and lead and encourage them with the things that they're doing really well. The next thing we want to sandwich in there is some of the constructive feedback that we have for them. Hey, maybe I noticed this one thing that maybe you could do better, or there's this one thing that I noticed today that maybe was an opportunity for you to develop on, and share that feedback with them. And then we want to sandwich it at the very end with some more positive feedback of saying, hey, if you are to change your behaviors, or if you did this differently, I think there could be a positive future outcome that could come from your changed behavior. So you want to lead with what are they doing well, share some feedback with them of what they could do to improve, and then share with them the future positive state. If they focus on if they focus on the feedback you provided them, then there's a future state in which they could improve on. So the third principle that we want to talk about is to be specific. When we're providing feedback to others, we always want to be very specific about what are the behaviors that they're demonstrating that need to be changed? What was it specifically that you saw them do that you want to provide them feedback? You don't want to tell a team member or tell somebody else, hey, you just need to improve on being nicer, or you need to improve on being faster. You need to improve on just a generic item. We want to make sure that we provide feedback that we can say that we saw that there was this instance where I saw you say something to somebody else that I noticed specifically, like maybe you could have phrased this a little bit differently that would have gone a lot better. Or hey, when you were working on the front counter, I noticed that if you did a couple of these things a little bit differently, I think you could get a little bit faster in your speed of service and serving guests. So be very specific, and also share the why with people. Let people know why their behavior, if not change, could be problematic in the business. When people know why what they're doing is a problem or a challenge, then they are also more likely to change that behavior to move forward. The fourth principle we want to talk about is to be timely with your feedback. Nothing is worse than hearing feedback long after an incident has occurred. So we always want to make sure that we are timely with that feedback. We share that feedback, if possible, even during a shift, sometimes in the moment, but definitely during that shift or within a couple of days. But usually if we wait several weeks or sometimes even a month later, that feedback, what has happened is such a long time ago that it's hard for anybody to receive that feedback and really understand what they need to change. Now, there's times where maybe it's not right to share that feedback in the moment. Sometimes you need to let some time pass, but I think there's certain times where absolutely right in the moment you have to share that feedback. Those instances include anytime we're talking about food safety or food quality and standards. If we see somebody is not upholding Chick-fil-A food safety procedures or food quality and standards procedures or service procedures, then we need to address that in the moment, just to make sure that they have the timeliness of feedback so they can make those adjustments so we don't put any of our guests in danger from a food safety or quality standpoint. Now, the fifth principle we want to talk about is to be supportive. When you provide feedback, it doesn't end there. You don't just share the feedback and say, okay, I've given you the feedback, now go and make changes. We want to make sure that we are supportive to our team members. So sometimes that means providing them the resources they need. So sometimes if you are correcting a team member because they aren't following procedures, then you need to make sure as a leader you know the correct standards and procedures, or you're able to guide them to the right resources that they need to get those behaviors corrected. Sometimes the resource and the support we need is to just give them accountability, is to say, hey, I'm going to hold you accountable. So if I see you doing this again, you can count on me to know that I'm here to help you and to hold you accountable and to help you support. Sometimes the feedback after we provide the feedback is just people knowing that you are there to help them succeed. Being supportive is just knowing at the end of the day is that after I provide you the feedback, I want you to succeed and I want you to grow and I want you to develop. Okay, so when you guys think about practicing these 5 principles, I know that you all, if you can master these 5 principles, you are going to be great at coaching and providing feedback. That people, the team members on your team, they're going to know that you truly care about them and that you want them to succeed, and that people will not be discouraged when you provide them feedback, but they're going to actually know that you care about them and that you are paving a brighter future for them through the feedback you're providing. So again, thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for leaning in to providing feedback to your team and coaching them to your future success. And we know that if you master this, you guys are going to be continually great leaders here at Chick-fil-A Southroads.